Kurt Sutter's makes Sons of Anarchy, for those who don't know, and watching what he's done as very much an employee of News Corp, telling a story, is that he makes a show called What the Fuck Sutter, and he answers questions about the show, and he talks about the making of the show, and someone asked him why he did that, and he said, I only have a show for 3 months, you know, like 13 episodes, so 13 weeks, and then there's no show. So he keeps the audience talking all right from, they end in December, they go into pre-production like now, already, you know, the show's season 6 already pitched, so he's already talking about the making of it. And then in this past season, he had a crew that made a Before the Anarchy. It was a making of series. So he was generating content about the content before there was content and after there was content. And I started looking at Vampire Mob because I had all these bloopers. And a bunch of people that asked me questions online, and I'm like, I literally shoot it with my phone. And I asked for questions on Twitter. I'll give away like a t-shirt or a poster. And so I started talking about Vampire Mob and how we make the show. And I joked on Twitter once, if I ever have another show, I'm going to call it Coffee and Swearing, because that's all I talk about. And I swear a lot. So then that became this great, and I kind of spiked the interest in the show, because the audience, you know, would write a question, I would type it, it would roll up on screen, and all of a sudden the conversation was different. There was something about, because they would see me and answer, and they'd see my cat, and it was something more human about it. And so I'm like, I'm just going to rip off Kurt Sutter, I'm going to make Coffee and Swearing, and I thought that was going to kind of go into the making of Vampire Mob, and then behind the scenes of Vampire Mob. So what Coffee and Swearing I'm looking at now is kind of my, almost like a video blog. I hate to say it like that, but it's honestly, it's going to be whatever the fuck I want it to be, but it will be kind of bounced off whatever project I'm working on. So I'm going to do one more episode on the Vampire Mob channel, and then it'll move to the Play Shorts channel, and I'll do Coffee and Swearing about Play Shorts, about fundraising, behind the scenes, making of. And then if I can come back to making another season of Vampire Mob, I can move the show back to that channel, or whatever the next thing is going to be, but always have something. So watching somebody like Kurt Sutter tweeting, doing Q&As on Twitter, it taught me to think about how to make content about the content. That I'm making stories about the stories. I know what I'm doing. I'm just saying, in this context, I'm using content about the content, but it is behind the scenes about, because the people who like the behind the scenes stuff and all that, it's not everybody. The people who watch Coffee Swearing, it's really the hardcore people. So once I get that out of my head, like, my friends aren't going to watch this. They talk to me. They don't give a fuck. Like, they're not going to watch me talking and answering questions like we talk on the phone. So I got those people out of my head, because I talk to somebody else, I'm like, you should make like a making of. I'm like, I don't want to do that. What am I going to talk about? They're like, I'm worried about what people are going to think. And I'm like, what do you mean worried about what people, like, they'll press stop. Like, they'll leave a nasty comment, delete it, like, just, so yeah, it's, everything is the story. Like, I feel like my Instagram is a story, I feel like Twitter is a story, I feel like Coffee and Swearing is a story. It's stories about making the stories. It's sort of like my story about being an independent storyteller. Like, that's part of the story. It's all one big thing. I don't look at it as a little project. And I think that's...
So I'll be back here?
I'll have a little tiny bit of a warm-up.
Okay.
And I think that's that seems like more fun. It seems like a better business plan. It seems more sustainable. It seems more human. It seems like it's not industrial revolution bullshit.
You still working on your food?
A little bit longer.
Okay.
The coolest food in the world. Yeah, or the awards are trying to please people, or trying to get, you know, when somebody says, you know, I was sick in bed and I was watching Vampire Mob and it made me laugh, thank you. That, like, I'm sorry, but that's enough to keep me going for a long fucking time. And people have watched it more than once. And yeah, when people say, oh, I thought of Vampire Mob today because they said rectify the situation, and they remember the line from something, or, you know, the dog in the show gets a Christmas present from Europe. know, that's human. That's real. That's not demographics and sponsors and validation and all the bullshit. Like, we don't need the bullshit. All we need to do is tell stories, and we don't need to tell it on someone's schedule. We just need to get enough money to sustain ourselves, to tell the stories, and to keep going. And that's gonna build. And it's gonna build real, like, interest. Really fucking slowly. It builds, but it keeps building.